They sold me a broken spaceship as a joke. I bought it for 8 credits and shocked them. The market was alive with noise. 1,000 voices shouted at once, hawking goods that ranged from glowing fruits to tiny self-repairing machines. Ships of all sizes floated above the stalls, some small enough to fit in a garage, others massive, towering over the city like metal skyscrapers. Humans were rare here, and their presence always drew attention. Most aliens regarded them with curiosity, some with amusement, others with thinly veiled contempt. One human walked through the crowd with calm confidence. He was not tall nor particularly strong, but his posture had a quiet assurance that made him seem larger than he was. His eyes scanned everything, from the high-tech gadgets on display to the hovering signs flashing in alien glyphs. He did not hurry, but he moved with purpose. He came to a stall tucked between 2 massive ships. A small rickety craft hung suspended on invisible anti-grav wires. Its paint was scratched, the metal dented in several places. One of the wings wobbled slightly, as if it might fall off at any moment. The human stopped in front of it. "Ah, a human," a tall, 3-armed alien called. Its skin shimmered like wet metal and its eyes were black, reflective pools.
"You are brave, or foolish, babbling."
"This ship," it said, pointing at the rickety thing, "is worth nothing. You cannot fly it. You cannot fix it. You should leave now." The human looked at the ship carefully. He did not laugh. He did not shake his head. He simply smiled. "How much?" he asked. His voice was calm, almost too calm. The alien's eyes widened. It glanced at its companion, another alien with green skin and a long, snake-like neck.
They exchanged a look. 8 credits, the first alien said, barely hiding a laugh.
8 for this piece of junk. You must be joking."
"I'll take it," the human said. The aliens froze. "Aye."
Then they laughed, a harsh metallic laugh that echoed through the market. Other traders nearby turned to look, curious at the human who had just fallen for the obvious joke. You really want it?" the green-skinned alien asked, disbelief in every movement. "Yes," the human said. He pulled 8 small shining coins from a pouch and placed them on the counter. His hand was steady. His eyes were steady. Nothing about him screamed hesitation or fear. The first alien snorted. "Very well, human. You are interesting," it said. "Enjoy your broken toy." With that, the alien waved a claw at the hovering ship. It shivered slightly, then descended into the human's waiting hands. The human studied it for a moment, turning it over. He examined the wings, the engine, the cockpit. Nothing was wasted on panic. Nothing was wasted on doubt. He nodded once and walked away. The aliens watched him leave, still laughing, confident that he would return with complaints, or perhaps not at all. After all, who could take such a ship into space and survive? They had decades of experience. Humans were fragile, unpredictable, and naive. The market had seen many foolish customers, but this one was special. The human found a quiet corner at the edge of the market. He set the ship down gently and began his inspection. His hands moved with precision, touching panels, turning knobs, reading alien symbols as if he understood every one of them. The market noise faded around him. The laughter of the aliens seemed far away. All that mattered was the ship, its potential, and the possibilities that others refused to see. Hours passed. The sun of the alien world dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the market. Traders began packing up, their glowing wares disappearing into crates and containers. The human did not leave. He continued to examine the ship, opening compartments, checking the wiring, adjusting small pieces that no one else would dare touch. From the outside, it was a broken ship, a joke, a lost cause. But the human saw differently. He saw opportunities. He saw parts that could be repurposed. He saw flaws that could be fixed. And most importantly, he saw what no alien had ever understood: human ingenuity. Later, he tested the ship's controls. The engine sputtered, the wings shivered, and a small alarm beeped. But the ship moved, slowly, unsteadily, yet it moved. The human smiled. He did not rejoice. He did not pat himself on the back. He simply noted the patterns, the weaknesses, and the strengths. Each movement, each sound told him something. The aliens who had sold him the ship probably imagined he was struggling, panicking, or perhaps already regretting his decision. They had no idea that the human had something they could not measure: patience, creativity, and confidence. Traits that were rare in the galaxy. Traits that could turn even a broken ship into a force to be reckoned with. As night fell, the market lights flickered on. Neon signs glowed in colors that did not exist on Earth. Ships floated above the stalls like stars in a metal sky. The human adjusted the ship one last time, then leaned back, resting against a wall. He watched the alien stars, thinking about the journey ahead. Tomorrow, he would begin repairs in earnest. Tomorrow, he would see what this ship could really do. And the aliens would be in for a surprise. They did not know the human mind. They did not know what humanity could achieve with determination and intelligence. A gust of wind blew through the market, carrying the smells of alien food and the distant sound of engines. The human closed his eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to imagine. Imagine the ship flying faster than anyone expected. Imagine it outmaneuvering others who had laughed at him. Imagine proving without words that humans were not to be underestimated. In the quiet of the alien night, the human allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. The joke was on them. They had sold him a broken ship. They had laughed at him. But soon, very soon, they would see that human ingenuity could turn the impossible into reality. And the galaxy would not be ready. The market settled into silence. The human stood up, stretched, and climbed into the ship's cockpit. He ran his hands over the controls, listening to the faint hum of alien technology coming to life. The ship responded, hesitated, then moved forward slightly. A small test. Nothing spectacular yet, but it was enough to remind him that potential was often hidden in plain sight. He would begin the work tomorrow. For now, he studied the stars, dreaming of flight, exploration, and discovery. The first part of his journey had begun. The aliens had underestimated him. The universe had no idea what was coming. The joke, as they called it, was just the beginning. The next morning, the alien sun rose slowly over the market city, spilling red and gold light across the streets. Most traders were already packing up their goods or preparing their ships for trade runs. But the human was not in the market. He was already at the edge of the city, in a small, quiet repair bay he had discovered last week. Its walls were old metal and glass, forgotten by most, but perfect for someone who wanted privacy and space to work. The broken ship rested on the ground, its dents and scratches illuminated in the morning light. From the outside, it looked like a piece of junk, exactly what the aliens had sold him. But to the human, it was a treasure trove. Every panel, every wire, every control had a purpose. It was messy, complicated, and difficult, but not impossible. He knelt in front of the ship, carefully opening a panel near the engine. Inside, wires crisscrossed like a chaotic web, some frayed, some disconnected. Alien symbols marked various components, symbols he had learned to understand just enough to make sense of the system. His hands moved steadily, connecting circuits, tightening loose screws, and adjusting small valves. Hours passed. Sweat formed on his forehead, but his mind was calm, focused. Every adjustment he made was deliberate. Every small repair gave him information. He was not just fixing the ship. He was learning it, studying it, understanding how it had been designed. And in that understanding lay opportunity. He found a small compartment under the main engine. Inside was a tiny, folded device no larger than a human hand. Most humans would have overlooked it. Most aliens would have thrown it away, but the human opened it carefully. It was a modular power amplifier, designed to increase energy output for short bursts. He smiled. A small tweak here, a small recalibration there. and this ship might fly faster than anyone expected. He worked through the day, testing, adjusting, studying. At noon, a group of alien traders passed by the repair bay, laughing as they noticed him. "Still working on your broken toy, human?" one asked. Its voice was high-pitched and mocking. "Why waste your time? The ship is useless. You cannot fix it. You are foolish."
The human did not reply. He only glanced up, smiled faintly, and returned to his work.
Words were useless here. Actions mattered. And soon, actions would speak louder than any alien mockery. By afternoon, he had managed to restart the main engine. It sputtered, coughed, and emitted a strange blue glow, but it ran. The wings moved, the control panels lit up, and the ship made a soft hum as systems stabilized. The human tested the navigation controls. The ship responded, slow but steady. He realized the ship had been designed for modular repair. Every panel, every component, was built to be removed, replaced, or upgraded. Aliens who had sold it had laughed because they saw it as fragile. They did not realize its design was genius in its own way. A clever human could turn it into a marvel. The human worked late into the night. Stars shone above the city, reflected in the bay's glass walls. He connected circuits, replaced broken components, and rewired engines. He used makeshift tools where necessary, improvising solutions that no alien engineer would have attempted. As he worked, he remembered the laughter of the aliens from the market. Their mockery was not offensive, it was fuel. Every sneer, every chuckle reminded him that humans were underestimated. That underestimation was a weapon. Humans could survive in places others could not. Humans could see possibilities where aliens saw only limitations. By the end of the night, the ship could hover steadily. Not just hover, it could respond smoothly to commands, twist and turn without the jerky movements it had before. The human climbed into the cockpit, testing controls, adjusting for sensitivity. Each movement of the ship under his hands felt like learning a new language. The ship was alive, in a way, responding to his understanding. He found a hidden storage bay beneath the main deck. Inside were several compartments marked with alien symbols indicating emergency equipment. Most were empty, likely scavenged long ago. But one compartment contained a set of small glowing crystals. They were energy cells, compact but powerful. With these, he could boost the ship's engines temporarily, giving bursts of speed no one would expect.
The human smiled.
This was no longer a broken ship. This was a puzzle, waiting for someone clever enough to solve it. And he was more than clever enough. Over the next few days, he worked tirelessly. He tested flight patterns in the quiet of the repair bay. He adjusted shields, recalibrated energy output, and even installed a simple navigation algorithm he had developed himself. The ship began to respond faster, smoother, and more reliably than any trader would have believed. Word of the human's broken ship began to spread. Rumors in the market suggested he was struggling, that he had wasted his 8 credits. Some aliens even came to spy, peeking around corners, hoping to see failure. They never saw it. One evening, as the sun dipped below the alien horizon, the human made a breakthrough. He had connected all energy circuits properly, optimized the main thrusters, and tested the auxiliary boosters. The ship hummed with potential, energy coursing through systems that had been dormant for years. It was no longer a joke. It was a machine capable of feats the aliens had never imagined. He climbed into the cockpit for a full test. With cautious hands, he lifted off. The ship responded perfectly. It hovered, then moved forward, twisting through the air with agility. He tested the boosters. The ship shot upward faster than any alien craft would dare to move in such tight quarters. He laughed quietly, not at arrogance, but at satisfaction. He had turned the impossible into reality. But he did not stop there. He began experimenting with offensive and defensive maneuvers, using the ship's modular systems to test new capabilities. Shields could redirect energy, engines could burst in short, sudden movements, and the navigation system allowed for precision control beyond what most aliens could manage. Each discovery made him more confident. Each success proved that humans could see possibilities others ignored. The human also began studying the ship's history. Hidden logs and encrypted data suggested it had once been part of an elite exploratory fleet. It had been damaged in a raid and sold cheaply by unscrupulous traders. Most aliens assumed it was worthless, but the human understood that its potential was hidden, waiting for the right mind to unlock it. As the nights passed, the human worked tirelessly, improving, testing, and learning. He had no one to help him, no manuals in his language, and no assurances that he would succeed. And yet, he progressed. With every adjustment, the ship became faster, stronger, and more capable. The alien's joke was fading, replaced by the quiet brilliance of human determination. He paused one night, looking out at the stars. Each one reminded him of the vastness of space, the dangers lurking in asteroid fields, pirate fleets, and uncharted systems. And yet, he felt ready. Not because he had a perfect ship, but because he understood it better than anyone else could. Understanding, intelligence, and patience. These were human strengths, not brute force, not arrogance, human ingenuity. The following morning, he returned to the market, not to trade, not to sell, but to observe. From a distance, he watched the aliens who had mocked him. They were busy with their own affairs, oblivious to the quiet revolution taking place at the edge of the city. They did not know that the human had turned their broken joke into something formidable. He smiled faintly, not with pride, but with anticipation. Soon he would test the ship beyond the city. Soon he would push it into space. And soon he would show the galaxy what a single human, clever and determined, could do. The aliens had laughed at him. They had expected failure. And yet the human knew that their underestimation was exactly what gave him the advantage. They had never seen humans work quietly, patiently, and brilliantly. They had never faced a mind that could see solutions where others saw only problems. And when the human finally launched the ship into space, the galaxy would understand. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Not because of strength, not because of numbers, but because of intelligence, creativity, and the courage to see possibilities no one else could. He returned to the ship, climbing into the cockpit one last time before the test flight. The engines purred, the shields glowed softly, and the controls responded perfectly. The ship was ready. Not perfect, not finished, but more than capable. With a deep breath, he lifted off. Slowly at first, then faster, testing each system. The broken ship became a machine of precision and speed, agile beyond expectation. The stars above were no longer distant points. They were destinations waiting to be reached. And in that moment, the human felt a quiet, undeniable truth. The joke was over. The aliens had laughed at him, but he had turned their mockery into power. The hidden potential of the ship had been unlocked. And soon the universe would see what humans could do when no one believed in them. The human had prepared for weeks. Every system on the ship had been tested, every module repaired or upgraded, every circuit checked and adjusted, but preparation could not account for what awaited beyond the city limits. Space was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous. He knew this. That was why he had to be clever. That was why he had to stay calm. He climbed into the cockpit at dawn, the city lights fading behind him as the ship hovered above the ground. The engines purred smoothly, the shields glowing faintly. He adjusted the controls, ran the pre-flight checks one last time, and took a deep breath. Then he launched. Slowly at first, then faster. The city shrank below him, the streets becoming thin lines of color. Traders and aliens stared in disbelief as the broken ship rose higher, leaving a faint trail of blue energy in its wake. The human did not look back. He had a destination. The asteroid belt that ran near the edge of the system. Dangerous, treacherous, and avoided by every trader worth their salt. He reached the belt in the late morning. The asteroids floated like enormous rocks in a sea of stars, some spinning, some colliding, and others drifting silently. Most pilots would have turned back. Most ships would not survive more than a few minutes in such chaos. But the human had studied this belt carefully. He knew the patterns. He had calculated trajectories, acceleration points, and safe zones. Every maneuver would require precision, creativity, and courage. The first asteroid came too fast. The human tilted the ship using the auxiliary boosters to move upward. The ship responded perfectly, spinning slightly to avoid impact. Metal creaked under the strain, but the systems held. Another asteroid, larger this time, barreled toward him. He fired the short energy burst from the hidden crystals. The ship shot upward in a blink, passing the asteroid with a skill that would have amazed any experienced pilot. He was no longer flying a broken ship. He was conducting a dance through chaos. Every movement was precise. Every adjustment calculated. The ship had become an extension of his mind. Hours passed, and the human moved deeper into the belt. Small pieces of rock brushed past the hull, leaving scratches, but nothing critical. He noted patterns in the asteroid's rotation, using them to plan paths that no alien trader would dare attempt. He even discovered a small cave of minerals hidden in a gap between two massive rocks. Most pilots would have ignored it, thinking it impossible to reach, but he guided the ship in, collected samples, and exited without a scratch. Then came the real challenge. A group of pirate ships appeared, their designs aggressive and unfamiliar. They had clearly been tracking traders who attempted the belt, waiting for someone foolish enough to risk the dangerous path. Their weapons glowed, energy bolts ready. The pirates believed they had caught a human in a ship no better than junk. They did not know the human was clever. They did not know the human could turn weakness into strength. The first pirate fired. The shot passed harmlessly as the human twisted the ship sideways. The next shot came faster. He pressed the booster button, sending the ship into a sharp loop, dodging both the asteroid and the bolt. The pirates exchanged confused signals. This was no ordinary human pilot. Their weapons were designed for predictability, not creativity. He maneuvered through the belt, using the asteroids themselves as shields. Energy bolts bounced off the rock, missing him entirely. Then, he found a narrow gap between two massive asteroids. No ship should pass there, but with precision, he angled the ship, nudged the controls, and slipped through like water through a crack. The pirates hesitated, unsure if he had survived. The human activated the auxiliary crystals. The ship's engines flared briefly, giving him a burst of speed. He shot through the pirate fleet like lightning, dodging another volley of attacks. Behind him, pirate ships tried to follow. One collided with an asteroid, another spun out of control, and the third fired wildly before retreating. The human had turned the belt into an advantage. Where others saw danger, he saw opportunity. Deeper into the belt, he discovered more hidden caves, mineral deposits, and debris fields that contained rare resources. Each one was an opportunity, each one a reward for cleverness and risk-taking. He collected what he could, storing it carefully in hidden compartments. This was not just survival. This was triumph. This was humans proving that intelligence, courage, and creativity mattered more than raw power. Night fell. The stars were bright, casting pale light across the asteroids. The human paused, letting the ship drift in a safe zone. He studied the belt, plotting a path out. Every twist, every turn, every gap he had used was logged in his mind. One day he would remember each detail and use it again, perhaps to evade enemies far more dangerous than pirates. He remembered the laughter of the aliens from the market. They had called him foolish. They had laughed at the broken ship. And here he was, navigating chaos with skill that no alien could match. He smiled quietly. The joke was no longer theirs. It was his. But he could not linger. The pirates might regroup. He still had a journey ahead, a test of endurance and cunning. He set the course for the edge of the belt, using smaller asteroids as shields while plotting a path that would bring him out safely. Suddenly, an enormous asteroid, far larger than any he had seen, began shifting unpredictably. It had been disturbed by a collision further in the belt. The human calculated the trajectory quickly. If he misjudged, the ship would be crushed. He adjusted the boosters, angled the wings, and used a short energy burst to slip past the giant rock. The ship groaned under the strain, but it held. He exhaled, adrenaline still high. This was more than a flight. This was a test of everything he had learned, everything he had built. The ship was no longer fragile. It was resilient, responsive, and precise. And the human controlling it was calm, observant, and intelligent. As he reached the outer edge of the belt, he saw open space ahead. No more pirates, no more massive rocks. Only stars stretched infinitely. He slowed the ship, letting it drift in the darkness, and studied the minerals and resources he had collected. They were valuable, worth more than the 8 credits he had spent on the broken ship. But more than that, they were proof. Proof that humans could thrive where others failed. Proof that intelligence, courage, and creativity could turn the impossible into victory. The human set a course back toward the city, careful to avoid detection. He did not want anyone to follow him yet. This victory was personal, a demonstration of what humans could achieve when underestimated. He thought of the aliens in the market, the ones who had mocked him. They would not believe what he had done. They would never expect it. And that was exactly as it should be. As he navigated the outskirts of the asteroid belt, he began planning further upgrades. The ship had performed brilliantly, but he already saw ways to make it faster, more agile, and even capable of exploration far beyond the system. Each challenge, each obstacle had taught him something new, and humans, he knew, learned quickly. Humans adapted. Humans survived. The human smiled faintly as he approached the city's edge. The belt behind him had tested him, challenged him, and almost destroyed him. Yet he had survived and thrived. The ship, once a joke, had proven itself capable. And the galaxy, he realized, would soon see that humans were not to be underestimated. He landed the ship carefully, avoiding attention. The city's lights welcomed him back, but he did not linger in the market. He had work to do. Repairs, analysis, and preparation for the next challenge awaited. The first real test had been survived. The next would be even greater. And as he walked through the quiet streets, the human carried with him a growing truth. Strength alone was not enough. Power alone was not enough. The universe respected intelligence, creativity, and courage. And humans, above all, had all 3 in abundance. The aliens had laughed at him. The pirates had tried to stop him. And yet, he had succeeded. Step by step, maneuver by maneuver, the human had proven that even the smallest, seemingly weakest beings could achieve greatness. The stars outside twinkled with possibilities, and the human knew that his journey had only begun. The human returned to the city quietly. The sun was just rising, casting pale light across the streets, but the market was already waking. Traders opened their stalls, ships hummed as engines warmed, and the smell of alien food floated through the air. All seemed normal. All seemed peaceful. But today nothing would remain the same. The broken ship now rested at the edge of the city, gleaming faintly in the morning light. Its scratches and dents were still visible, reminders of its past, but its engines glowed smoothly, its wings adjusted perfectly, and the energy shields pulsed softly. The human stepped back and studied it with pride, not arrogance, but quiet satisfaction. What had once been a joke in the eyes of the aliens was now a machine of precision, ingenuity, and power. Word had already spread. Rumors traveled faster than he had expected. Traders whispered to each other, some curious, others skeptical. "He is back," one alien said. "Still with that broken ship?" Another laughed nervously. Perhaps he failed after all. The human ignored them. He did not need their approval. Actions would speak louder than words. He climbed into the cockpit, adjusting controls with ease. Every system responded perfectly. The shields, the boosters, the energy crystals, all worked in harmony. He had tested everything during his flight through the asteroid belt and beyond. He had learned the ship's limits and pushed them further than anyone could imagine. Then he launched. Slowly at first, as if testing the market's attention. The ship rose smoothly, hovering above the streets. Traders and aliens paused, mouths open. Some stepped back. Others whispered nervously to each other. The ship moved with confidence and speed, performing turns and maneuvers that no trader expected. The human activated the auxiliary energy crystals. The ship surged upward, faster than any local craft dared to fly. It spun, twisted, and glided like it was dancing in the sky. Alien traders gasped, pointing and muttering. Some of the larger ships hovered in shock. The humans smiled faintly. They had laughed at him once. Now, they were witnesses to what humans could achieve when underestimated. He descended again, this time landing skillfully in front of the market. The noise of the crowd grew. Traders had stopped their work, alien customers paused mid-step, and all eyes turned toward the ship. It was no longer broken. It was extraordinary.
The human opened the ship's storage compartments.
Minerals, rare crystals, and alien resources collected from the asteroid belt shimmered in the sunlight. He carefully unloaded them, stacking them neatly. Each item was valuable, not just for trade, but as proof of his cleverness and determination. An alien approached him, the same one who had sold him the ship. Its 3 arms trembled slightly. You bought this ship for 8 credits, it said. We thought you would fail, the human asked quietly, smiling. Perhaps you did. The alien's eyes widened. It had not expected a response so calm, so confident. And then it saw the ship, the minerals, and the careful adjustments. It realized slowly that this human had accomplished what they thought impossible. The human began trading with calm efficiency. He exchanged rare minerals for enough credits to upgrade the ship even further. He sold what others could not reach, what others deemed impossible to collect. The aliens who had mocked him watched silently, some with disbelief, others with growing respect. But it was not just wealth that mattered. It was the demonstration of capability. Every maneuver in the sky, every rare resource collected, and every clever adjustment to the ship spoke louder than any boast. Humans were clever, adaptive, and courageous. The galaxy had never fully realized it, but now, at this small market on the edge of the system, some of the aliens began to understand. The human did not flaunt his success. He acted with calm precision, always moving, always trading, always improving the ship. But every action carried a message: underestimate humans at your own risk. As he worked, other traders approached with questions. How did you navigate the asteroid belt? One asked nervously. How did you avoid pirates? Another whispered. The human smiled faintly. He did not give answers freely. Curiosity was human currency. Observation was power. And today, humans were showing that power in full. Soon, the aliens who had sold him the ship could not hide their astonishment. They watched him with a mixture of envy and respect. They had laughed at the human's foolishness. They had expected failure. And yet he had succeeded in every measure. He had collected what they thought impossible to obtain. He had flown where they dared not go. He had turned a broken joke into a marvel of human skill and ingenuity. A group of alien children gathered nearby, pointing at the ship. Look, that human can do things no one else can, one said. Their parents frowned, unsure how to respond. But the human noticed the children and gave a small nod. He did not speak. His actions were the lesson. Humans could achieve greatness through patience, intelligence, and courage. By mid-afternoon, the human had returned to the edge of the market to inspect the ship. Small tweaks, small adjustments, and minor repairs kept the ship in perfect condition. Each improvement was deliberate, calculated, and effective. The aliens watched silently. They realized finally that they had underestimated something important: human adaptability, ingenuity, and determination. The human prepared for a final demonstration. He climbed into the cockpit, igniting the engines with a controlled hum. The ship lifted off smoothly, higher and faster than before. It performed a series of maneuvers, loops, and precision dives, showing control, speed, and agility that no local ship could match. The crowd gasped in awe. Some stepped back, unsure if they should interfere or simply watch. The human smiled faintly. One of the alien traders, the one who had first mocked him, finally spoke.
How?
How is this possible? That ship should be worthless. Not worthless, the human said softly. Underestimated. You cannot measure potential by appearance. You cannot measure it by doubt, only by action, intelligence, and courage. The alien looked at him, realization dawning. The human had proven it. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and it had been a grave mistake. By evening, the market had quieted, but the story of the broken ship and the clever human had spread far beyond the stalls. Traders whispered to each other, passing the tale to neighboring systems. The human did not care about fame. He cared about progress, improvement, and proof. Proof that humans could achieve what others believed impossible. The city lights reflected off the ship's polished surfaces as the human prepared for a final flight before nightfall. He tested shields, adjusted boosters, and ran simulations for the next journey. The universe was vast, full of dangers, discoveries, and challenges. And the human, with his clever mind and adaptive ship, was ready. He thought briefly of the pirates he had outmaneuvered. He thought of the asteroid belt that had tested him. He thought of the aliens who had mocked him. And he smiled quietly. All of it had been preparation. All of it had been training. All of it had been proof that humans could rise where others expected failure. The human activated the auxiliary energy crystals. The ship surged upward, faster than anything in the city could follow. It twisted, turned, and hovered above the market, a symbol of potential and skill. The aliens below could only watch. Shock, awe, and growing respect marked their faces. They had learned a lesson they would never forget. Do not underestimate humans. With the sun setting, casting long shadows across the market, the human finally descended. He landed the ship smoothly, engines humming quietly. He climbed out, stretching, satisfied. The ship, once a joke, was now a testament to intelligence, courage, and determination. A testament to what humans could achieve when they were underestimated. And as he walked away from the market, the human knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, challenges, and opportunities. But humans, clever, adaptable, and brave, would meet them all. They would survive. They would thrive. And they would shock anyone who thought otherwise. The joke was over. The galaxy had seen the truth. Humanity was not to be underestimated.